Well, that doesn't sound good at all. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman says the Artemis II SLS rocket has developed a new issue involving helium flow. So the real question is, do we actually need to risk it?
Hey, I'm Lucas. Welcome to the SpaceX community. Let's get started.
NASA's Space Launch System is facing another delay, and this time it comes at a critical moment for Artemis II. After months of preparation, integrated testing, and growing optimism that the first crewed mission of the Artemis era was finally lining up for launch, engineers uncovered a new issue involving helium flow to the rocket's upper stage. The discovery has forced NASA to prepare for a rollback of the massive SLS rocket from Launch Complex 39B back to the Vehicle Assembly Building at Kennedy Space Center, effectively eliminating the previously targeted March launch window and pushing Artemis II further into 2026. It's a frustrating development, but one that underscores just how complex and unforgiving deep space human missions can be. The issue centers on the Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage, or ICPS, the upper stage responsible for sending the Orion spacecraft out of Earth orbit and toward the Moon. During overnight data reviews following recent testing, teams detected an interruption in helium flow within the upper stage systems. Helium plays a vital role in pressurizing propellant tanks and purging engine lines, especially in a cryogenic environment where liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen must be carefully managed. Without stable and predictable helium flow, NASA cannot certify the stage for flight, particularly not for a mission carrying astronauts beyond low Earth orbit for the first time in more than 5 decades. Artemis II had been trending toward a March 2026 launch after earlier hydrogen leak concerns were addressed during a wet dress rehearsal. That fueling test had given teams confidence that previous leak issues, some of which echoed challenges seen during Artemis I, were finally behind them. The countdown procedures had been rehearsed, the core stage performed as expected, and the narrative had begun to shift from troubleshooting to final preparations. But the helium anomaly changed that almost immediately. In spaceflight, small subsystems can have mission-ending consequences, and NASA made it clear that this is not something they can simply monitor and fly with. It has to be fixed at the source. Because of where the affected components are located, NASA determined that the most practical path forward is rolling the entire 322-foot rocket back to the Vehicle Assembly Building. While some issues can be addressed at the pad, deeper inspections of valves, filters, regulators, or plumbing, connections inside the ICPS require the access and tooling available only inside the VAB. The rollback itself is not trivial. The crawler transporter will carry SLS slowly back along the crawlerway, a process that takes many hours and interrupts the tightly choreographed pre-launch flow. Once inside, teams will begin a detailed diagnostic campaign to isolate the exact cause of the helium interruption. The rollback all but guarantees that Artemis II will miss its March window. Launch windows for lunar missions are driven by orbital mechanics, and if the required Earth-Moon alignment passes, NASA must wait for the next viable opportunity. Current projections suggest the next realistic window would open in April, though that depends heavily on how quickly engineers can identify and resolve the helium issue and complete any required retesting. If hardware replacement is needed, timelines could stretch further. NASA has not yet announced a firm revised date, but it is clear that Artemis II is no longer tracking toward an early March liftoff. This delay adds to a long list of schedule adjustments that have shaped the Artemis program over the past several years. Artemis II was originally expected to launch earlier in the decade, but integration challenges, Orion spacecraft upgrades, heat shield investigations following Artemis I, and ground system refinements all contributed to incremental slips. Each adjustment has been framed as a decision in favor of crew safety and mission assurance rather than speed. That philosophy remains consistent now. NASA leadership has emphasized that no astronaut will board SLS unless every system is fully understood and operating within margins. Artemis II mission itself represents a pivotal step in NASA's long-term lunar strategy. Unlike Artemis I, which flew uncrewed in 2022 and successfully orbited the moon, Artemis II will carry 4 astronauts on a free return trajectory around the moon and back to Earth. It will be the first time humans have traveled beyond low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. The mission is designed to validate life support systems, deep space navigation, communications, and overall spacecraft performance in a real lunar environment. In many ways, it is the proving ground for Artemis III, which aims to land astronauts near the lunar South Pole. The SLS rocket itself is an enormously complex system. The core stage, powered by 4 RS-25 engines, works in conjunction with 2 solid rocket boosters to produce more thrust than any operational rocket in the world. Sitting atop that core stage, the ICPS must ignite after main engine cutoff to push Orion into a high Earth orbit and then perform the translunar injection burn. The helium system intertwined with that upper stage is not a minor detail. It ensures tank stability and proper propellant management during these critical burns. A disruption there could lead to incorrect tank pressures or engine performance anomalies, risks that are unacceptable on a crewed mission. Engineers are now examining whether the helium interruption was caused by a faulty valve, a clogged filter, sensor misreadings, or a deeper structural issue in the pressurization system. Data gathered during the recent tests will be compared against previous Artemis flights and ground qualifications to determine whether this is an isolated hardware defect or a systemic vulnerability. If components need to be replaced, they will undergo rigorous retesting before SLS is cleared to return to the pad. There are also broader implications. Every shift in the Artemis II timeline influences downstream missions. Artemis III, which will rely not only on SLS and Orion, but also on a human landing system and additional supporting infrastructure, is tightly connected to Artemis II's performance. While Artemis III is not scheduled until at least 2027, delays can compress integration timelines and affect contractor planning. Companies supporting the program, from core stage manufacturing to spacecraft assembly, must adjust schedules and workforce allocations accordingly. Despite the setback, NASA officials have reiterated that this is part of the normal process of developmental human spaceflight. The Apollo program experienced its own setbacks before achieving lunar landings. The space shuttle era was marked by delays, redesigns, and iterative upgrades. Modern spaceflight operates under even stricter safety standards and far more advanced technological complexity. The expectation is not perfection from the beginning, but continuous refinement until reliability is proven. As of now, NASA is preparing to roll SLS back and begin hands-on inspections of the ICPS Helium system. A detailed update briefing is expected once engineers have a clearer understanding of the root cause and repair timeline. Only after corrective actions are complete and verified will the rocket return to the pad for another round of pre-launch preparations.
Thanks for watching today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for another great video tomorrow.